Hello everybody, my name is Simon Poole and welcome to Where's the Popcorn? I'm going to be discussing movies that should have done well but for some reason they didn't. And also I'll try to think of some way to make it work and maybe make sense. Today I'm going to be discussing the 2016 version of Ghostbusters. I'll start by talking about the comments from the trailer that got released. I understand saying how people didn't want women Ghostbusters. I watched the original and loved it. I even enjoyed the second one. When this movie got released, Ghostbusters was 32 years old. So for about 32 years we've seen movies, video games, animated TV shows and comic books that had just 4 men as the Ghostbusters. Now there is a caveat when in 1997 they had the Extreme Ghostbusters, which did have a woman in it. So if they wanted to make a reboot with a woman Ghostbuster and following the source material, they should have gone with this. With all that being said, misogynistic comments are not okay. I remember reading a Leslie Jones interview with her saying that she got death threats for this movie. Let me remind people that actors are workers just doing their job. I will never condone death threats, but you were aiming them at the wrong people. Now, let's talk about the movie. I'll not spoil it too much, but I will introduce the main characters, that being Team Ghostbusters. The movie starts with Erin, who's played by Kristen Wiig, who has tenure at a university thing and finds out by some guy who needs her help that a book she wrote about ghosts got published. But, she thought the book got burnt because she made 2 copies and she burned them. But her friend Abby, who is played by Melissa McCarthy, actually published the books herself. Erin confronts Abby, then later we meet Abby's friend and possible co-worker, Gillian, who's played by Kate McKinnon. Now, Gillian is the econ of these Ghostbusters. She built all the gadgets, and they were some pretty good gadgets. Later on in the movie, we also meet Patty, who's played by Leslie Jones, who works in a subway station. She sees a ghost and later calls the Ghostbusters. She then becomes part of the team because she has a car. Next, we meet Kevin, who's played by Chris Hemsworth. He's a dumb character. Literally, he's dumb. He wears glasses but took the lenses out because they kept getting smudged, and he also covers his eyes and not his ears when there is loud noises. Now, all of the original actors from the original movie are here except Rick Moranis, who has retired from acting. But I did hear he might be coming back to acting, which is good. And Harold Ramis, who sadly died before this movie was made. Also, they did my boy Slimer dirty. He was only on for about 2 minutes-ish. All he did was steal the Ecto 1, and then next time we see him, about a few minutes later, we see him with, I believe would be his wife or girlfriend. Hopefully not sister, because you could tell it's a wife or girlfriend because it was just a Slimer, but with blonde hair. Kind of like when you have Milhouse's parents, because they look alike. Now, this movie wasn't bad. I did enjoy it. There were really no laugh-out-loud moments, but there were some that made me go, So I would recommend it, but whoever thought of having 4 women as Ghostbusters did a horrible job. I don't know whose idea it was, but I'll just say Sony. But I don't think it was them. But the delivery was awful. I believe they could have done a better job, and some ideas, I do have ideas, 2 of them, could have actually made people want to watch it. I'll go through them now, but I will say the online comments would probably still have been the same because I'm going to try to get the women Ghostbusters in these ideas that I have. Now, my first idea would be having this movie follow on from the originals, the original movies, and have Gillian, that's Kate McKinnon's character, be sort of a relative of Egon, maybe an uncle or a great uncle, maybe even a cousin. Now we'll have a flashback sequence type thing with Gillian, who watches a TV that has the Ghostbusters commercial and aspires to be just like her relative Egon. And the original Ghostbusters, minus Harold Ramis, of course, would try to convince her to not do it because it's quite dangerous. And obviously she won't listen. She recruits the other 3 women who was in this original movie, and you can go from there, really. Because I think if you implement the original movies and have it follow on, people would have watched it more. Now, my second idea, and this idea is my favorite, you have this movie be an actual reboot. But instead of 4 women, you start off with 4 men. And these will be the original Ghostbusters characters. You know, Egon, Peter, Winston, Ray. We start off with a flashback of Egon with Gillian from the original movie, played by Kate McKinnon. And they grew up as friends. They see a ghost, but later on in the movie, they'll think it's a child's imagination gone wild. They see a ghost. When they grow up, they both have degrees, so they both have their smart characters. Egon, though, he still has a purpose about looking for ghosts, but Gillian, she moved on from that. Egon will recruit the other 3 members, you know, Ray, Peter, and Winston, to make the Ghostbusters. He finds out ghosts are in fact real, and he tries to convince Gillian that they are real, while she doesn't believe him. Gillian then will meet up with some of her high school friends who will be the 3 women that was in this original movie. The story will write itself, but in the final act, Egon will say how that he and his co-workers, Ghostbusters, are in over their head, and they recruit Gillian, who then recruits her friends to help with the Ghostbusters. So there'll be like 2 Ghostbusters, 2 groups of 4, you know what I mean. The movie will end with Gillian and her friends who will move to the West Coast, realize how amazing it is to be a Ghostbuster, and they'll have like Ghostbusters San Francisco with a potential spin-off. Imagine the Marshmallow Man towering over the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, it sounds perfect, right? This will kind of create a Ghostbusters mini-universe where you can have this as Ghostbusters 1, a spin-off of it being Ghostbusters San Francisco, and just those 2 interconnecting every so often. So what do you think? Are these good ideas, or was this doomed to fail? Do you have a better idea? Please let me know at Nod and Wink on socials. That's NOD_N_WNC, or just Nod and Wink, which will be NODNWNC. You'll find me. And thanks for watching. Next time we'll talk about more movies that can easily be improved upon. And I'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.